What's up, everybody? It's your favorite podcast, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, as usual. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. What am I going to talk to y'all today about? Well, I want to talk about five vets that I think you might want to pay attention to in the NBA season this year. Not the MVPs or the big names, these are, I guess, the big names, but they're not the typical name that you hear about, right? I want you to pay a close attention to these five. I think they'll actually have a good season this year and start to build that brand that I think they can have. Now, with that being said, or at least revitalize it. So with that being said, let's get on started. Let's go ahead and get right on into it, right? And get started. Brandon Ingram. Off the Pelicans. He just signed an extension, 5 seasons. And the boy's good. Like, I'm a Duke fan. Y'all already know that. And I might be biased, but I like his game. He was the first-time All-Star last year after leaving the Lakers and be able to be that number 1 option, number 2 option, if you will, depending on how you look at it. And I think now being with himself and Zion, adding in Lonzo, I think he's going to be able to showcase, well, hey, I'm a dominant player in this game, too. I know, like, when I've actually talked with some players or with some people that I know, they're not too high on Brandon Ingram, but I think people are slacking on him. He kind of reminds me of KD, not to the degree of like a scorer, but the lankiness, the smoothness of the game, the hierarchy, like the high placement of the shot, all that good stuff. It reminds me a little bit of KD, just a little bit, and I personally like him. So I think you're going to see a lot of Brandon Ingram. He'll have opportunity, especially with Zion coming in and being a lot healthier. Look out for Brandon Ingram. Now, Kyrie Irving. Notice when I put revitalizing, I was thinking already about Kyrie, because Kyrie actually has taken a hit over a couple of seasons. Dating back, some people have dated it back to like the Cleveland Cavalier days, but I think a lot of people have really started giving Kyrie some slack once he hit the Celtics and wasn't able to, I guess, get the Celtics over the hump. I know it was injuries the first season, the team had success, and then afterwards it's like, well, I came here to be a man. Stuff just didn't gel. It was his fault, the team's fault, organization's fault, we get that. And as a result, then he goes to Brooklyn. Brooklyn wasn't really winning while he was putting up numbers, at least not the degree that you would want your team to. So he's got to work that back, right? But he has Kevin Durant and his team fully healthy right now. I promise you, he's going to change your minds, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe not completely, but he's going to boogie, woogie, till he just can't boogie no more. Like, this man's about to go off, I promise you. Unless he's injured, that's the only thing, because he's too much of a bucket not to. So I'm not going to harp too much on that, because I can go on for days about just talking about how him and the Brooklyn Nets are about to dominate. But definitely pay attention to Kyrie Irving. Now, KarlAnthony Towns, aka Cat. I'm gonna say Cat because I don't feel like saying his whole name. No disrespect to Cat though. But I want you to pay very close attention to Cat this year, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, my condolences to him and his family. He's actually lost a bevy of people, including his mother. So again, matter of fact, can we give a moment of silence? A moment of silence for the Towns family. All right, so after that moment of silence now, I gotta say, I don't think Cat is going to be very silent this season. Like, there is a possibility, just because, he did have a death in the family and it was devastating to him. Like, his mother is pretty big, in his life, like as you would assume, right? So with that, I think he's gonna actually utilize that as some motivation to play well. Like, I don't think the Wolves get to the playoffs, but I think he plays well enough to potentially get to the All-Star game. So you definitely need to pay attention to Cat. I think we might see something in the making, and especially if Anthony Edwards can come along. D'Lo, and Anthony Edwards might actually have something. But definitely pay attention to Cat. Definitely pay attention to Cat, because he's already an elite skill player in my opinion, and he can defend pretty well. He just got to bring it out more. That's all. He has the talent. Sometimes the heart is in question. So, but I think he's actually going to showcase very well for us this season. Now, next I want to talk about Paul George. A lot of eyes need to be on Paul George, ladies and gentlemen. He just got signed a 5-year contract after playing the way he did last postseason. Now, to be fair, Paul George did play well the majority of the season and the majority of the playoffs. He did drop more than 25 points over the last 2 games each. I think the last one of them was 30 points in the game, right? He has to hustle. He has to hustle. He has to hoop. He has to lead. He has to do a lot of stuff now because he's pointed a lot of blame at a lot of people outside of himself. That's an issue. So I think with the money that he just received, there's going to be some pressure. I know people will say, pressure probably doesn't correlate with Paul George or resonate with Paul George too well. I think he might actually turn the corner. Because now it's like an ego thing, bro. You have Kawhi riding on this. You have a lot. This is your championship window right here, champ. I think he's actually going to take a valiant effort. And we're going to see a good Paul George this year. So definitely pay attention to Paul George. I'm not saying MVP caliber. Possibly an all-star. We might be getting back. We might be trending back towards the Pacers Paul George that we knew and loved. The OKC Paul George, where he went MVP and Defensive Player of the Year candidate, top 3. Just saying. So look forward to seeing Paul George because I think he might actually boogie a little bit. And finally, Darian Fox. I like Darian. He's a big athletic guard, the fastest one in the league. The fastest player in the league, I personally think so. Like a younger John Wall. Maybe a little bit better shooting-wise, but I think you're going to get to see a little bit from Darian Fox. He looked to be a little stronger. I think he's a little more focused right now, and I don't think there's going to be as much of an issue from him as we might have seen in comparison to Buddy Hield. When I say that, I think there's been a little tension between him and Buddy Hield, and I think we're not going to see that as much. I think Darian's going to show off his play. Hey, I'm the better player. I'm the one option. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Everyone's going to gel around that, start to form around that. I think the Kings are going to start to slowly build back towards that playoff contention that they were gunning towards. Maybe not with Luke Walton, but I think they're going to get back to that playoff spot eventually. Not this year. Maybe next year, though. But definitely expect to see Darian Fox make some noise. I don't think All-Star this year, but he might have a couple people saying, oh, Darian Fox was snubbed. Just saying. Pay attention to Darian Fox. But those are my 5 people to watch out for. And, let me know if you all think I'm wrong. Do you have anybody else that you want to talk about? Again, I'm not trying to give out too many of the big names. I know I said PG, Kyrie, I get that. I wasn't trying to list off Bron, AD, Kawhi, stuff like that. So remember, just keep it in that same stratosphere. I didn't want, again, I'm not saying Steph either. Don't throw Steph in there. You get what I'm talking about, all right? But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Hope you all have a wonderful one. Take care.